I made my boyfriend be on my podcast today. You got to say, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I'm fine. It's an oversimplification because I'm really contemplating. I just haven't picked the day yet. I'm fine. Just don't ask me to elaborate because I don't really know what I'm supposed to say. I'm fine.
This is going to be good. All right, guys. You've heard about him. There was a whole episode about him. I've said some things over the past 6 months about him. This is Kyle. This is my boyfriend.
Hey, guys.
I'm really excited because I made him do this against his will. Kind of. Right?
Kind of against my will, but
yeah, but
I'm not really here under duress. So.
He, like, after I asked him if he'd be on, he was like, I don't want to, but, like, I will. Yeah. He's interesting. What we want to talk about today is interesting, and, you know, he's smart.
I'll do it for you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. First of all, by the way, I keep always forgetting to say, hey, this is Sad Girl Next Door, the podcast, every single time that I start doing this. Every time. Have you noticed that while you've watched the show?
Yeah.
Like, that I don't say, welcome to Sad Girl Next Door, I'm Taylor. Like, I never do that. Should I be doing that?
Yeah, you could use an introduction, maybe.
Darren's song is my introduction, technically. Which is awesome. Speaking of Darren, Darren's album, Blue Hour. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second, dude. Came out on June 24th. It's fire. Have you listened to it yet?
I haven't listened to the album, but I mean, I have heard the intro song, and I love it. Congratulations, Darren.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, he's awesome. We all know that Darren rocks. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out because his song "Fine" is actually, which is on the album. That is my introduction song. So it's really good. That's a really good song. I played that song for you in the car before, I think.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. It's a vibe, Darren. It's a vibe.
I appreciate you, dog.
Is this your first podcast that you've ever been on?
This is the longest I've been in front of a camera, probably.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you've watched it ever since I told you about it, but like the set, everything. One time I had a guest come here and they're like, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be in kind of a big room, actually. But I guess this makes sense. You don't really need a ton of space.
No, the one next door is a little bit bigger. But, like, if I moved over there, then this would have to stay here because it's, like, tacked into the wall. So, you know, for right now, it just works. You know, I don't have anything big and crazy going on right now. Just having conversations. Here's a question that I ask everybody, even though this is the sad girl next door. Are you a sad boy?
Like 20% of the time, maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just 20?
Yeah, 20%.
20% of the time, you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
Maybe like 40. I'm kidding. No, 20 is probably accurate. You don't remember this part of the podcast, though, do you? And I like, what spelling? You know, I remember I told you like there's like 3 different spellings for sad boy.
Sad boy. So you can spell it like with an I, which kind of pisses me off. You could spell it with sad boy like normal with a space or all as one word, right?
Yeah, he pays attention to me, guys.
Yeah.
Wow. So which one are you?
Not a sad boy, but if I had to spell it, I think I'd probably go all one word.
Just sad boy, but without the I.
Spelled correctly though.
Okay, why does the I piss you off?
I don't know. I don't have to explain myself. That's just a gut feeling I have.
I guess. I mean, yeah. Oh, maybe this is like the whiny emo in me where I'm like, you know, sad boy's not that weird.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because you don't like whiny emo anything.
Mostly not.
Mostly not, except me. Just me. Anyways, so I actually brought him on the podcast to talk about something I think that is super serious. I know we were just kind of goofing off a little bit, but as we all know, this past week and a half, I think it is. Has it been that long already? Week?
Oh, I think it was on the 24th.
So yeah, a week-ish has been a really crazy time here in America. It sucks. Roe v. Wade has been overturned, and, you know, why would I bring a guy on the podcast to talk about that? Well, it's because he's really smart about things and, you know, makes me sound good when I talk sometimes because I can just go right off of what he says. And plus he's my boyfriend, so we talk about this stuff actually like a lot.
Yeah, so I'm not going to have, you know, any opinions on a woman's perspective of that, but I do have some political opinions. Yes,
and that's why he's on here, because I don't, you know, the politics side of it, I guess, for me is like something that I'm not, something that I don't really, it's not like I don't pay attention to, but, you know, me just being a woman, I'm just like, it's not your choice to make.
Sure.
Plus, my big thing is the church side of it that goes into this, because as we all know, I did a whole episode about how I went from like a Catholic schoolgirl to being a complete atheist. And so religion pisses me off, to be honest. Any religion really pisses me off. Mostly Christianity.
Sure.
So.
And it really, you know, abortion probably shouldn't be an issue between the church and state, except for the fact that the church and the right wing started weaponizing that to gain political influence, especially in the 70s during the moral majority movement, when, you know, they started raising millions of dollars for political movements, and they used abortion as a wedge issue to drive people to the polls, and also to oppose the Equal Rights Act at the same time.
Yeah, the equal rights thing. We weren't really talking about that, but you know who we were talking about before we started the podcast. You know, he's a man. He's worth 30% more. Yeah. Yeah. I've told you a little bit on my views on equal rights and all the church stuff about it, but maybe I haven't said that to my viewers at all. But from what you and I have talked about, at least, you know, the reason why I stopped going to church was because I was hearing things at church that was like Black Lives Matter is unholy, LGBTQ plus is unholy, you know, you have to be pro-life because it's God's will. It's just, that's the stuff that made me stop going to church and realize that Christianity is absolute bullshit. Where in the Bible does it say that you can't get an abortion? Because from my understanding, in the Bible, it talks about it.
I believe in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. You know, I don't know so much that it's talked about in the New Testament.
No.
I'm certainly not a religious scholar.
No, it's more of an Old Testament thing. I don't really want to talk like a lot about it, but there was something that I was watching or reading that was talking about, like, maybe in the Old Testament infidelity, and she gets pregnant, you should terminate that pregnancy.
Yeah.
It was along the lines of that. And you know how unhinged the Old Testament can get.
I mean, God's certainly not been shy about killing babies in the Old Testament.
Absolutely not. I mean, he was telling people to sacrifice their own kids to him at the same time. So, you know, fuck Christianity, right?
But yeah, I mean, I had a similar experience. I tried going to church when I was a teenager. My parents were mainly agnostic when I was growing up, and when I started going to church, I was hearing the same kind of things. One church I went to, they were talking about how Jews were going to hell.
Yep.
I went to another Lutheran church, and they were talking about one sermon how gays are going to hell, and I decided this isn't for me. I don't think that's what the story's all about either. We're supposed to love everybody. It seems to be the underpinning of it.
Yeah, it really, where you're preaching so much hate. And remember, I wanted to tell you that I wanted to tell my old pastor that, because it's like, you know, my extended family, I think they wonder why. I know my mom and my dad really wonder why I don't deal with Christianity at all anymore. At all. I hate that my little sisters go to Catholic school. I hate it. And my mom's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, I realized what I believed in, and that I can't follow a religion like this that says I'm going to go to hell if I don't believe what they do. And
yeah, sure. And maybe we're getting a little bit away from the abortion
we'll
side
get
of
back
things,
to it.
But there's a real underpinning between, you know, Christian nationalism and kind of right-wing fascism, where there always has to be an other that you're separate from and you have to be afraid of because they're a threat to you. And that makes the group that you're a so-called a part of come together because you have an other to be an enemy of.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. I'm just trying to, I don't know. But before we came here today, we were both kind of looking on our phones and on my computer, kind of looking at what happened here in Wisconsin where we live, like what exactly happened with our abortion laws in the past week. And from what I saw, which I brought my computer and I forgot I was gonna like show it, but from what I saw with that map is that Wisconsin has it banned but not enforced.
Yeah, there's a law in the books that's 173 years old to ban abortion, except in cases of dire medical emergency. The Attorney General said that he's not going to enforce that. However, that would only be at the state level, so there could still be prosecution, I believe, at a county or a city level.
Yeah. And then I sent you the video last week of Tony Evers saying that he would grant clemency to practitioners if they were, given criminal charges against that. I don't know if that's actually, from what we were talking about earlier, I don't know if that's actually going to be a thing.
Well, I think Evers is being honest about his intentions with
Well,
that.
no, I know, but from what we were talking about earlier, because I don't remember, you had a good point that you made.
Well, the state Senate has really been working hard to undermine the power of the governorship since Evers was elected. So, who's to say that he'll be able to keep that ability, I guess, to grant clemency?
Yeah, that's going to suck. I mean, really, if you want to get an abortion, you have to go to Minnesota or Illinois, really, just in case they can. Because I was watching that interview today, and the interviewer was asking the interviewee, "Do you think the DA could prosecute?" And they're not saying that. They might. A lot of people, I think, are gonna turn patients away because there's a slight chance that they can get prosecuted for it, and that's scary.
Sure, if you're a doctor, that's a big risk to take to, do, well, I think it's like 6 years or something like that.
And a fine of $10,000.
Something like that. And probably lose your practice as well.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok a few days ago where and this was, I don't think she was from Wisconsin, but she was a nurse, like maybe a labor and delivery nurse or something like that, or maybe she was a doctor. But they had to make a decision to save a woman's life, and she lost her license that same day. Right after the procedure was done, she lost her license. Yeah,
sure. We're already seeing lots of insane stories like that. Like 2 days ago, there was the story of the 10-year-old girl in Ohio that was allegedly raped, I think, by a family member, and is pregnant and wasn't allowed at 10 years old to terminate that pregnancy. And she had to go to Indiana to have the procedure done. And Indiana's actually in the process of banning abortion right now as well. They just haven't got it through yet.
I think Ohio right now is the same as Texas, which is a 6-week.
Yeah. 6 weeks.
And how are you going to know? At 6 weeks, how are you going to know? There's no, I don't want to say there's no way, because that's definitely not true, but I mean, that's really early to figure out.
Yeah, you certainly might not notice.
Yeah. Well, there was another instance today that I was reading to you about the girl who was 23 weeks pregnant, I think, and it was the one that was going around on Instagram that I was telling you about. And I don't know what her baby's condition was, but her baby wasn't gonna make it, was gonna die. And she was talking to her doctor, and the doctor said, "Okay, I'll schedule you an induction," because her baby was seizing and she could feel every single seizure, which I cannot imagine how that feels, to be honest, to just know that your baby is suffering inside you. But then I also can't imagine how it feels to be told, "I can't do your induction anymore. You have to remain pregnant until your baby either dies inside you or dies when it's born."
Yeah, what an unnecessary
I can't imagine.
trauma.
I can't imagine how she must feel. Fortunately haven't gone through that. But I just think that I think that this is going to lead to a lot of issues. Remember what we were talking about earlier. What was that? Where was that one? It was the one in Malaysia, right? You said.
I don't remember the country.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. What was that one again?
Well, there was an American couple traveling, and the woman was pregnant, and she had some kind of problem with her pregnancy, and the baby died, and she wasn't allowed to have the abortion and have the baby removed from her body. She had to be flown out of there to like Spain or something to have an emergency procedure done, because that country where abortions are 100% illegal, like they're doing in the US, she was forced to keep the, rotting corpse inside her body, which, aside from being just a horrific trauma and hard to even think about, you're risking sepsis for the mother and, surely death if it's left like that.
Yeah, and that brings me to my point about how this stupid law or whatever getting overturned is going to cause so many people to die. Really, it is. When you can't interfere with an ectopic pregnancy or any other pregnancy that might die, with the viability, an ectopic pregnancy, there's no viability with that. You have to, now you don't necessarily have to get surgery for it. There was this one lady on the internet who I was watching a video or something, and she had an injection to try to dissolve that, which I did not know was a thing, actually. I did not know that you could do that. Why don't you tell me these things? Come on. You're supposed to be the smart one in this relationship here. But yeah, I didn't know that. It didn't work. The dissolving didn't work. It actually burst, and she had to get surgery. I don't think she lost her fallopian tube, but there's a thing. That pregnancy or whatever, it can burst, and that you have so much blood that gets into your abdomen, you can die. Your doctor can't interfere with that.
Yeah, and so right now it's overturned on a federal level, so the states can make their own decisions.
Yeah, but every state seems to be, not every, but a majority.
Yeah, so in Wisconsin we still have the way the law is written is we still have the ability to get an abortion if there is a medical emergency.
For now.
Right, exactly. Well, the next step is Mitch McConnell stated about a week ago that if Republicans take the Senate in the midterms, that they are going to overturn the filibuster so that they can pass a nationwide ban on abortion, which then will be, just flatly illegal across the board.
And why do they care so much about banning abortion? It's either... I feel like it's mostly just religion-based at this point. Like, are you really that concerned with killing babies? It's not a baby yet.
So I think there's a few facets to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the right wing that have used that as a wedge issue to drive people to the polls, because a lot of people on the right are single-issue voters. Yep. And a large chunk of them are driven to the polls because they think abortion is bad. Now, I think a lot of the Republicans are a little bit like the dog that caught the car, because now they have to deal with the fallout from actually, overturning a law that at least 2/3 of the country think should have stayed in effect. Another facet of it is, the quiverful movement on the right wing, and Christian nationalism, where you have to have as many babies as you can to grow God's army.
We're looking at you, Jim Bob.
I'm not looking at you, Jim Bob.
Sorry, that's a disgusting family. I hate them so much. But, yeah. Yeah. One thing that I've been thinking about is that with this new law, people are also concerned, as what we were talking about, is that our population is decreasing. That's one thing that you were talking about earlier. Don't you think that this would also play into that? Where there's a chance, pregnancy is not, you can't predict it. Something can go wrong at any time. So do you think people want to risk it?
Well, that is actually another of the political aspects of it is that our population in the U.S. As an affluent country isn't growing as much as it needs to be for our economy to grow, and the only way to overcome that are either for people to start fucking more and having those babies, or to let immigrants in.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't have the brown people.
Yeah, right.
According to a lot of the politicians.
I know your tone of voice
wall
here. Yep. Yeah.
So the only other way to make sure we got enough babies coming up the chain to keep our economy growing is to make people have them.
But then, do you think because of them making us have them, I think people are still going to be having them? I mean, yeah, they're we still have the major Christian bozos out here. That you want to know what? I shouldn't say that because, like, listen, I don't like Christianity, and I really respect, Christians and all that kind of stuff. As long as you don't shove it in my face and do what our politicians are doing, that's when I don't like it. Like, if you're just a Christian, I'm not going to just call you a bozo. I should say that. I do talk a lot of shit about Christianity.
Sure, there's a lot of.
I don't want to sound like I'm super disrespectful and putting all Christians under one umbrella, because that's not fair. That's not fair at all. Just all the Christians in my I shouldn't say all the Christians. Most of the Christians in my life, I'm going to call you a bozo, and I think I have. But not your parents. I love them.
Most of my family are Lutheran, and I feel like most of my family are, abide by the actual kind of underlying faith, where they want to give back to their community, they want to support everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly the political movement, where they're using Christianity for their political gains, has tended to take an evil twist.
It really has, and it's really disgusting. Like, you should just be a good person, and that was good enough. I went to Christian school. I went to Lutheran school. It seemed fine. Everything seemed great. And then now I'm becoming older, maybe just realizing more things, but it's just, ugh. Yeah, like, as I said, I'm pissed that my sisters go to Catholic school.
I mean, there's a real easy answer for it. We got to start taxing the church.
I'm totally on board with that.
They're going to be involved in politics. They can start paying taxes.
I'm totally on board with that. I think they should.
We can wipe out all the problems with poverty in the U.S. just with the Catholic Church alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, poverty in the U.S. So we're gonna, the U.S. as a we're gonna force birth on people. It's not just these people aren't pro-life. They're pro-birth.
Sure.
So we're going to force, birth on people who can't afford to, for their kid. They can't afford to clothe their kids or feed their kids. And then we're going to force birth in a country that has no universal health care whatsoever.
Yeah, and the next step in that is that it increases crime. There was a book that came out a long time ago called Freakonomics, where they did an interesting survey. Now, it's not really scientific. It was a retroactive survey,
sure.
But they found compelling evidence that in areas where abortion was legal, there was a significantly lower crime rate than in areas, even similar areas, the crime rate changed with abortion laws.
Yeah.
Because when you have people having kids and they can't afford to take care of them, can't afford to feed them, more people are going to turn to crime, because you're not going to starve. You're going to do what you need to do to feed yourself and feed your kids.
Yeah.
And if the state's not going to help you or create an environment where you can do that, then, I have a son, and I would do whatever it took if it came to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. But then certain people that I have talked to, like, I have friends that have kids, and I don't want to say they rely heavily on the state for help, but they get state assistance because they're single parents with kids. They and I have talked to other people who say that my friends are bums and they need to go and get a job, and they need to stop using the state and start paying taxes, because, we need to stop letting these bums, use our tax money for their kids that they can't afford. And it's like, okay, pick one or the other thing here. It's really hard for me to not name drop right now and who I'm talking about, but I really think we know who I'm talking about.
Well, the problem with that mentality is that we live in, a capitalist economic system, and in order for capitalism to work, and again, I apologize for getting away from abortion, but
I feel like it all comes together though. Like we keep going back to it, but there's so many factors in this. There are so many factors.
So in order for capitalism to work, you have to be able to pay people less than what their labor is worth. And in order to do that, you have to have a certain number of people that are unemployed and ready to jump in and take that job when somebody says, screw you, I can go make more money elsewhere. You have to have people that are unemployed, so they'll take that $7.25 an hour job at McDonald's. If there was no unemployment rate, if everybody had a job, nobody's doing that $7 an hour job. Yeah. So you're always going to have people that are unemployed in a pure capitalist system. That's one of the roles of the Federal Reserve is they, raise interest rates sometimes to increase the unemployment rate when inflation gets too high.
I learned so many things from this man. I do. But yeah.
So I think if you're going to live in a system where, you can thrive, where we can be in a good place and make a good income and have affluent lives, then you have to be willing to give some of it back to help the people that you're standing on to make the wage that you make. You have to be able, you have to be willing to feed them and house them. Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem. Circling back to where we were supposed to be talking about. I know we keep going all over the place, but I really do think that all the stuff that we've talked about so far, it all goes together. There's so many factors that's going to play out here when, I don't want to say when, because I really hope it's not a thing, but if abortion is just a national ban. So many things are going to happen. Poverty, women are going to die. And I haven't been able to really talk about how many factors that, how many or different ways they can die. Women are going to die, and children will be placed into the foster care system. And we already have, what was the statistic I think I saw today? It was 407,000 children in the U.S. already in foster care. That was as of, I think that was either 2020 or 2022. It was one of the two. I was looking for statistics of 2022. We're only halfway through the year. So, I saw something on Facebook, 438,000, and I couldn't duplicate that number anywhere else when I was looking at it today. So I just stuck with the 407, which
Sure.
It's still a lot. I was in foster care for a little bit when I was a baby. I was adopted. So, what would have happened if I wasn't adopted? People are like, you're so lucky. Your mom chose life. And I'm like, yeah.
I feel lucky that your mom chose life.
Shut up. Yeah, I mean, but, when I was waiting to get adopted, I was in, the foster care, after, she was my adoption was, set up, but I was in foster care. What if my parents changed their mind, and then she also didn't want me? I could have still been in the foster care system and aged out at 18. I think before we worry about babies that aren't born yet, we need to worry about the babies that are already here and the children that we already have. That's my big thing. Because there are so many that need help, and we're worried about something that doesn't even have a functioning brain yet. It's disgusting. Keep your old man hands out of my vagina, not yours.
Sure. I mean, that's a big thing if you're going to base your decisions on Christianity. Shouldn't we be, caring about feeding everybody?
Yeah, I mean, if you were a true fellow Christian, wouldn't you want to do what Jesus would do, which would be help the poor and love everybody?
Maybe more than cutting taxes for the rich. I mean, the only time Jesus was ever violent was when he beat the bankers.
Good times. I don't remember hearing about that in Catholic school. Are we being too much? Are we? No? Okay. I heard you sighing over there. I'm like, oh my God, does Darren not agree with me? No, I'm kidding. I don't care. I wouldn't care if you did or not. But,
The commie pinko you brought with,
Right. I'm trying to think here. You know, we're running out of time. Do you have any like other points that you want to make before we wrap up?
I think I'm
Why?
Good. Why? What? This is your
You
show.
said no. I'm like, I don't know. I was asking you. You're the smart one here.
No, I'm not.
What? Excuse me.
I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of did force you to be here today. I do have a question for you though. Well,
is it about steel cut oatmeal? 'Cause I don't know
no,
what
it's
it is.
not about steel cut oatmeal. No, my question was, is an Uncrustable considered a sandwich or a ravioli?
Ooh. What makes a ravioli?
Because it's not because it's closed on the around.
Yeah, but it's definitely between bread.
Yeah, but still, a ravioli can't be. I mean, I guess I don't know.
I don't like my sandwiches with secrets. That's what I know.
What?
The Uncrustables. It's like they're keeping a secret in there, and I don't.
Why? Because it's sealed?
Yeah, I'd prefer my sandwich to be, just open with me about what's inside. I don't want to bite into it to find out.
Wouldn't you know what's inside of it when you're buying it on the package? I mean, I think you're thinking too much into this. Is it a sandwich or ravioli? It's not that hard.
If you believe the man,
I'm going to go with ravioli. So I don't eat them anyways. I hate jelly.
Bread, it's a sandwich.
I think you're single now. Making jokes. Sorry. Kyle, thank you for being on my podcast, even though you told me you didn't want to be.
No, it was fun.
And yeah, thank you though for talking about something really serious, and maybe we'll have to visit back on again when we know more. I think right now we're just in a state of we're giving opinions and we don't really know what's going to happen. So, definitely I'm going to cover this again, but it was nice to kind of get another view, like more of the political side of things. Because me, if I was just sitting up here talking about abortion for 30 minutes, I mean, I'd probably make good points like I think I was,
sure.
But not to the point where you were getting to. So I really appreciate the input.
The next Supreme Court decision in October is going to be to decide if states can let their electors choose anybody they want to be president. So that'll be fun. We can talk about that one too.
God damn. This country gives me a headache. On that note, I'm going to say peace out. Again, thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Darren, for being behind the camera. I never say thank you to him, but I should. Because, why not? He's here. He has to listen to me talk. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, again, I'm not good with the endings. I'm still getting back into this, but my name's Taylor, and this has been SadGirlNextDoor.
I'ma tell you little lies and they sound like this. I'm fine. It's an oversimplification, cause I'm really contemplating. I just haven't picked the day yet. I'm fine. Just don't ask me to elaborate, cause I don't really know what I'm supposed to say. I'm fine. I'm fine.